Hi, I'm Jeff McQuillan coming to you from beautiful Los Angeles, California, and ESLPOD.com. Today I want to talk about 3 English expressions that will probably not be in your English textbook, but which are very commonly used in conversational English. The first one of my favorite expressions of these 3 actually, is the phrasal verb to flake out. To flake out means not to do what you promised to do. So if you promise to meet someone at a cafe for a cup of coffee at, let's say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon, but then at 3 o'clock you don't go to the cafe, we would say, oh, you flaked out. The noun form is to be a flake. For example, oh, John, he's a real flake, or he's such a flake. He says he'll do something, but then he never does. When I first moved to California 30 years ago from St. Paul, Minnesota, the greatest state in the world, well, in the United States, I was used to people doing what they promised to do. So if someone said, I'll meet you at the cafe at 3 o'clock, well, they would be there at 3 o'clock. But when I arrived in Los Angeles, I found lots of people who were flakes, who would say one thing and do another. Now, flaking out is when you don't show up usually to an appointment, although it could also be for any other activity that you promised to do. Now, the weird thing is, when I discovered Californians flaking out on me, or at least people in Los Angeles, Angelinos we would call them, the weird thing is when I would see them again, because they were acquaintances or people I worked with, they would not apologize. They would act as though nothing had happened. It would just be considered normal, in other words, here in Los Angeles, to flake out. Now notice we use the preposition on after a phrasal verb, the phrasal verb to flake out, to give the person that you are affecting. So he flaked out on Julie. Poor Julie. Julie is the person that he was supposed to do something for and he didn't. A second expression you will probably never see in a textbook, but it is again very common, is the phrasal verb to ride shotgun. A shotgun is a long rifle that you would use to shoot animals if you go hunting, or perhaps shoot something else, I hope not. The expression to ride shotgun means, however, to sit in the seat next to the driver in the car, in the front seat of the car. Most cars have a seat or a place not only for the driver to sit, what we would call the driver's seat, but also for at least one other person next to the driver, what we would call a passenger seat. A person in the car who isn't driving is called a passenger. The front passenger seat, however, is sometimes called the shotgun seat. So when you say to someone, I'm going to ride shotgun with you, you mean I'm not going to drive, but I'm going to be in the front of the car next to you. Now, why do we call it the shotgun position? Well, back in the old days, before cars, back in the 19th and early 20th century, there were things called stagecoaches. Stagecoaches were vehicles that were pulled by horses on wheels. But it could be dangerous riding in a stagecoach, especially if you were out in the country or what we would now call the Wild West, the western part of the United States, which didn't have very many people living in it. So you would want someone with you on the stagecoach to provide security. So next to the stagecoach driver would sit a person with a shotgun to shoot anyone who tried to attack you, someone who was trying to rob you, to steal from you, for example. That's how the seat next to the car driver came to be called the shotgun seat, even though, of course, it's not a stagecoach. It was common when I was growing up for kids to call shotgun. To call shotgun means to tell everyone else that you are going to sit in the front passenger seat of the car. So when my brothers and sisters were going to go in the car with my father, one of us would always yell or say loudly, "I call shotgun," meaning I get to sit in the front of the car because I called shotgun first. I said shotgun, and therefore I get to sit there instead of you. Our final expression that you won't find in a textbook is to scoot over. To scoot over basically means to move to the side in order to make room for someone else on a bench or on a long couch, an area where you are sitting. If you walk into your living room and there are two people sitting on a couch or a sofa that you could normally sit three people on, you might say to one of them, "Could you scoot over? Could you move over so I can sit down?" Meaning, can you move over so there's room for me to sit down, space for me to sit down? At ESL Podcast, we would never flake out on you when it comes to giving you the best possible English lessons you can find anywhere on the internet, of course. Go and take a look at our unlimited English membership at eslpod.com. And if you liked this video, please follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/ESLPOD and at Twitter at ESLPOD. Oh, and be sure to like us and share us with your friends and family who are also trying to improve their English. From beautiful Los Angeles, California, I am Jeff McQuillan. Thanks for watching.